All right, Barry, it's showtime.
It's showtime, Phil.
It's showtime, baby.
It's showtime, baby.
It's showtime, folks.
Come on, Bubba, it's showtime.
Showtime, bitch. Showtime. Hey, Ringo, showtime. Okay, Trey, showtime.
Showtime, Trail.
Showtime.
Showtime. Showtime.
Showtime. Don't say it. Please, don't say it.
No, I have to say it, Mitch. Showtime.
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.
Greetings, true believers. Welcome back into the fastest show in sports. I am your host. I am the ringmaster, Ed Berliner. I am joined by the gentlemen from the New York Times, the Washington Post, ESPN, so many other places, and of course the only individual who is still trying desperately to get the country of Panama to add a Cracker Barrel somewhere very close to where he lives, and still desperately trying to find a decent chicken fried steak in Panama. He is my partner, Mike Wise. Have you found a decent chicken fried steak anywhere? Let's get that out of the way, first of all.
No, I have not, Ed.
Okay.
And I've not met anybody that I'd like to go to with the Cracker Barrel and talk about
Why do
people
you
that don't
slide
look
into
like
that southern accent drawl every time you do that? You know that that's going to piss somebody off.
Yeah, I know. I know. You know,
That's okay.
making
You
fun
can
of
do that. I don't
redneck.
mind that.
Making fun of rednecks is just as bad as making fun of other subset groups of people in the world. There's no reason for me to, go after somebody without a dental plan who sips moonshine from their. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You were on a roll, brother. You know, we may as well clean that all out here at the beginning before we get going because we got a lot to do. So get your redneckese out of the way, and then we'll move on. All right, rednecks are done. Here we go. Long way to go and a short time to get there. There is nothing more dramatic. There is nothing more sympathetic. There is nothing more enigmatic, if you will, than this time of year when people get a chance to either love or hate the Dallas Cowboys. And they make it so damn easy.
We traded Micah Parsons to the Packers? Nah, this is fake. Wait, is this real? Rah! That's really all we got. 2 first-round picks. Why would we trade him to the Packers of all people? 2 first-rounders! We traded him for 2 first-rounders! I'm not watching football this year. I promise you. This gotta be the worst trade in Cowboys history. There's gonna be a press conference tonight. I can't wait to hear what Jerry's gonna say here. I hate Jerry Jones! We just traded a generational talent in his prime for 2 first-round picks! Why would you do this right before the season? Jerry! Maybe there was something wrong with his bat. I'm not watching football this year. I ain't going to no game. I just bought a Micah Parsons jersey. Who is Kenny Clark? Get Jerry Jones out of there by any means possible. We play the Eagles week 1. What is Kenny Clark gonna do? We didn't have to trade him. We had his rights the next 3 years. Make him sit out and lose money. First Luka, now Micah. Why? Jerry Jones has gone insane. Man doesn't know how to negotiate. I was excited for this year. Now I gotta listen to Packers fans. We got blown out by the Packers and now they got Micah? I would have paid him $47 million. That's gonna look like nothing in a couple years. You know how hard it is to be a Cowboys fan? It's the worst trade ever. 2 first-round picks. 2 late-round first picks right before the season? I have nothing to look forward to. Are we tanking for Arch Manning? Why would we pay Dak and CD but not Micah? I hate you, Jerry Jones. I hate you. I'm done.
Dallas Cowboy fans everywhere, your lives are over. Once again, Jerry Jones, the old man by the sea, screaming once again to destroy your lives, destroy your team, make Sundays in the fall bad for you. You have no chance whatsoever. You've lost again. Micah Parsons is gone, and the Dallas Cowboys suddenly find themselves to be a team that possibly can't win a single game a year. It is the Dallas Cowboys curse. Mike, we are there once again. Every single time we get around to it, it's the Dallas Cowboys. They run the roost in the NFL. And these fans, Mike, we need to feel sorry for them. They're our brothers and sisters.
You know, our brothers and sisters, yes. And that was Dak's younger brother, too. They're just, speaking of rednecks, let's talk about Jerry Jones. All right, let's talk about the Jera. Look, the guy's been in business for a while. This is the thing about a place like the Dallas Cowboys. You don't have to sell Super Bowls. You just sell hope. And that's what he's been selling forever. It's still one of, if it's not the most valuable franchise in the world, it's very close.
I think it still is. Every now and then when I look at it, I think it still bounces back and forth. There's a couple of franchises.
Yeah,
I mean,
like the
value,
Yankees,
but I think it's
Yankees.
worth something like, I don't know, $8, $9, $10 billion. Jerry doesn't give a
Yeah, I
damn.
mean, no, he doesn't care. That's the thing. It's sort of like, as long as he's running the show, as long as he's in charge. I don't want to. I don't want to say Jerry Jones is racist because that's just a cop out. Because he got into a disagreement with another black kid.
Yeah.
But did you ever see the story Sally Jenkins and David Marinus wrote about 3 years ago?
No.
And it was they had sort of talked about how Jerry never hired a black coach, and there was some there was some it was part of a series about blacked out or whatever. Like there's just not enough black coaches in the NFL. We all know that. It's you'll give people of color only so much of a leash to be a quarterback for your team, be a coordinator for your team. People in our world still don't want black players running teams.
Yeah,
Mike Tomlin is one of the few exceptions.
We can't boil this down to black players. I mean, this thing with
it's
Micah
not.
Parsons is all
But
about
I'm just
the fact
saying.
that Jerry thought he and Micah's agent had a deal in the spring. Came back, the agent said, "Kiss my ass." According to Jerry, that's what he said. The agent denies it.
Okay, right there. Let me stop.
And Jerry didn't want to pay him. Jerry's got more money than God, but he doesn't want to pay Micah Parsons, so he jettisons him, send him to Green Bay.
Let me stop you right now.
Go ahead.
According to Jerry Jones. Come on. According to Jerry. Anyway, this story, let me finish. This story by Sally Jenkins and David Marinus, two of the best reporters, not just in sports, but in journalism. They unearthed a picture of Jerry on the steps of the North Arkansas High School during the integration of that high school. There's an AP photo. Jerry's, there's all these ugly ringleaders, white guys just shouting in the front of these 6 black guys trying to integrate the high school. It's 1957. Jerry Jones is in the background. They found his photo. He's only 14. He says he only went there to
He's only 14.
Okay, but I'm just saying, that was the cradle of your upbringing. Do you know how long it takes to unwire your neurons in that way?
Yeah,
Jerry Jones is not running the plantation, Ed, but he still likes to be the master in charge.
There's two different stories going on here. Jerry Jones is an exceptionally wealthy individual who owns one of the most valuable franchises in sports history. He calls himself the general manager or whatever it is. He puts himself in charge because he doesn't trust anybody else. He's an egomaniac ass. So basically, he has been the reason why this franchise has been so desperately trying to win a championship for how many years? We can't. I'm sorry.
And he has
the trading of Micah Parsons and put racism in there. I don't care what he did at the age of 14.
And he has racial baggage that takes years to get a hold of. I'm just saying. Think of a white player that Jerry Jones went to the woodshed with over a contract. I'm trying to think of somebody. I'm really trying to think of somebody hard.
That's part of the discussion, though. The reason why Jerry traded him is because they gave fat contracts to other players. There's a salary cap in the NFL. There's only so much money you can spend. He spent it on players like Dak Prescott. He gave Dak Prescott, a black man, a tremendous amount of money, and he has never quite been the quarterback that he's supposed to be for all that cash. Jerry's made terrible financial moves, personnel moves, and that's the reason why. Plus, he felt like he was being dissed, if you will, when he says, and again I say it, that the agent told him to kiss his ass. Whatever it is, this is part of the negotiation. That was
categorical.
He's a terrible guy to negotiate here. And we can't say he's destroyed the franchise because the franchise is still worth more money than God.
No, so I'll look at it from this angle. The agent through different people, categorically denied he ever. It said they've said
Yes, he did.
the agent wouldn't even speak like that. They wouldn't even speak like that. He would not say that. So I guess what I'm saying is there might have been some. Look, I'm sure it's over money. I'm just saying some of this stuff comes into play. He wanted to be the boss. He's already filthy rich. It doesn't matter to him. Yeah, he wants to win another Super Bowl, but he's got to be the boss. He's got, it's sort of like
that's just it, Mike.
I mean,
it's not about racism. He just wants to be the boss. He's got that.
If you
he's
can't
got that
relinquish
Donald
control,
Trump idea that he's the king, the Lord, the emperor. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And guess what? He can. He owns the team. If he wants to sell the players
So
out
what?
tomorrow, he can do it.
So what? It's the most profitable franchise in the world. Like you're right. You decide how you spend your money. You're still the richest franchise in the world. So I don't really want to hear this was about money. I just can't. All right. So Micah Parsons got a great deal. The Dallas I guess the Dallas sports fans in general are suffering still from the Luka Doncic deal, which is still the worst blockbuster trade in the history of the NBA. In my book, it'll come out 5 years later. If Luka does not win a title, if he doesn't even get the Lakers back to a finals in the next 5 years, then we can revisit it and say, I can't even. Nico, what's his name? The general manager who was an idiot when he was at Nike and he blew the Steph Curry deal. We can revisit that and say, you should still be employed somewhere. But the bottom line is, it's a rough go for right now for these Dallas fans. And I'm just worried they're going to get rid of Cooper Flagg before he suits up.
It's the thing, though, when it comes to Dallas in the National Football League. And I've said this before on the show, I love it when the Dallas Cowboys lose. I love it when the New York Jets lose. It's like there's a perfect Sunday. If the two of them hit the trifecta or the perfecta and both of them lose, let me see, if you want to hit a trifecta on a Sunday in the NFL,
why do you hate the Jets? Why do you hate the Jets?
It would have to be the Cowboys, and I can't even think of a third team that I despise quite as badly. I mean, it's just, but to have them continue to lose, we got to feel sorry for them. Mike, we got to do something. The psyche of the Dallas Cowboys fans is explosive at this point. They're gonna suck again this season, very likely. We're going to make fun of them. They'll be made fun of. And Jerry Jones doesn't care.
Well,
I mean, the
Jerry
Football League is
Jerry
Jones. They got an owner who's got more money than anybody. And he basically isn't doing what it takes to make this team a winner. He keeps cutting stupid deals and spending stupid money because he doesn't have somebody in charge. There's no football guy in charge here, Mike.
Jerry Jones is morphing into Dan Snyder now that Snyder's gone. It's sad, but true. Look, I don't care. Like, Jerry Jones is 82. He's got maybe another 5 years left. I mean, he doesn't look like he's in the best shape. All he does is spend his time getting Botox.
He'll outlive everybody.
Probably, yeah.
He'll outlive you. He'll outlive me. He'll live to be 189.
Micah Parsons is a very special player, but
yes,
I think it was
he's
Stan
a generational player.
Stan Verrett and Neil Everett are trying to get their show back together, Sands Sports Center. And they asked a question on the internet the other day, and they're tremendous guys, both of them. They asked a question like, what was a more damaging trade to the city of Dallas? And because the Cowboys are so big, I'm sure this will almost be even more value.
This overshadows the Doncic trade. Absolutely.
Yeah, but on a scale of effectiveness, I mean, Micah Parsons is one of 22 players on a 100-yard field. Luka Doncic is one of 10 players on a 94-foot court that has the ball almost all the time. This affects the winning and losing of the Dallas Cowboys less than it does the Dallas Mavericks. So let's get away from that.
I think he can make a case for that. But
he's a defensive player.
But
he's not a quarterback.
Player on a defense that actually had a chance to be very good. He's 26 years of age. He's a generational player. You don't dump a guy like this for a couple of first-round draft picks that are probably going to be late-round picks, knowing the Packers and the way they win. It's just not a fair trade whatsoever. Look, I think you can replace.
I know it's not
Luka
a fair
Doncic.
trade.
I think you can replace a Luka Doncic better than you can replace on defense a Micah Parsons.
You're wrong about that, but okay. You could say that. But Micah Parsons was not going to make or break the Dallas Cowboys. Let's put it that way.
The guy who sacks
we'll
players
disagree on that.
I think it will.
We'll disagree on that, but I'm not buying it. But good for the Packers. Good for the Packers.
Yeah, we got to stop looking at it. If you're a Packers fan right now, you're going, "Hey, we conned this guy perfectly."
Yeah.
We gave up a couple of picks. The Packers don't usually give up picks, but they gave up picks this time because you have a chance at as I said, a generational player, and we'll have to. But the thing about it is, this throws the NFL completely out of whack, at least in the NFC right now, to begin the season. Week before the regular season begins, and you do this. I mean, I got people in Dallas right now that I've talked to. They said they're already putting themselves in for a 6-11 season, and that's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Well, I think the odds, the bookmakers had the Packers at what was it, 20-1 to win the Super Bowl, and now they're at 14-1, and the Cowboys went from 50-1 to win the Super Bowl to 60-1. So, however you look at that, the trade tilted in the Packers' favor economically right away. Look, I don't root for the Cow. I only rooted for the Cowboys when Snyder was the owner of Washington. I knew that it made him miserable when they won.
Just to get Snyder to lose, yeah.
And I didn't like, and I was against the team's name until it changed. And so now, but they got Jaden Daniels. They got a little hope. And if the ICE agents don't arrest some of the players on the streets of D.C. this year, we could, Washington can have a year.
On to other things in the National Football League. The Indianapolis Colts have had a terrible time of it in recent years. And people, and the fans specifically, are those who pay the money and deserve to have a team that is going to at least compete. The Colts have not done well at all. Now, thanks to the Washington Post, comes out a story that their owner, Jim Irsay, had not only been just very sick, and a reason why he may have allowed the franchise to falter, but because he was caught in the throes of addiction before he passed away, and now what he did, what he didn't do, and how the team was run is coming under very deep scrutiny.
This is breaking news.
Breaking at midday, a bombshell report today on the late Colts owner Jim Irsay and allegations that he and the team repeatedly covered up his use of drugs late in his life, and includes new details on drug overdoses and Irsay's relationship with a doctor who prescribed him large amounts of opioids and ketamine. The report contains numerous allegations, including alleged cover-ups of 3 overdoses, according to interviews with people knowledgeable of Irsay's drug use. They did not give their names out of fear of retaliation from the Colts. The first overdose reportedly happened in February 2020, while Irsay was on vacation out of the country. Then, on December 8th of 2023, as News 8 reported, Colts Chief Operating Officer Pete Ward called 911 after being told by Irsay's staff at his home in Carmel that they found him unresponsive in a bathroom.
We have a gentleman who's unresponsive. He's breathing, but he's bluish in color, and we believe that he may be having congestive heart failure.
At the time, a Carmel police report said officers suspected an overdose, but Irsay and the Colts denied it. But the new Post report claims Irsay overdosed on that day. Then again, 12 days later, near Miami, Florida. That led to Irsay being treated at a hospital for what the team claimed was a severe respiratory illness. The Post says earlier in 2023, Irsay began treatment with a well-known addiction specialist, Dr. Harry Haratunian. The report says that doctor prescribed Irsay large quantities of hydrocodone and other painkillers, and that he personally gave Irsay ketamine injections. The Post says Irsay died in May at the Beverly Hills Hotel in California while under the care of Dr. Haratunian. When the Colts announced Irsay's death, the team did not say where he died, and neither an autopsy nor a toxicology test was performed.
There's a couple of things at work here, Mike. Jim Irsay was a very tragic figure in so many ways. He was an addict. He had come clean about it. Everybody knew that Jim Irsay had problems, a lot of his personal demons. And then in the last couple of years of his life, it apparently had struck him again. He could not get clean. He could not help himself. They tried over and over again. Addiction is a horrible thing to be struck with. And then he has a doctor, much like we saw in the Matthew Perry incident, who is basically feeding him opioids and ketamine to keep him alive. And there's a discussion factor going on now that says the Colts deserve to tell their fans what was happening. The Colts should have informed the National Football League, because this is the guy in charge of this franchise, and what he did or did not do while he was suffering through these throes of addiction basically made the team worse. The fans weren't getting their money's worth. They were hiding things from the fans and the league. Yeah. But on the other side of this is a personal matter, Mike. When we talk to people going, you need to let us know that he's an addict. You need to let us know that these things have happened. This is a man who's struggling for his life here, Mike. So I think we've got to put this into some kind of regular life perspective here. He was having an issue and the man was dying and could not get himself clean. His family's doing everything they can to save him. He doesn't owe anybody a damn thing. His family, the Colts, doesn't know anybody to say, here's what's happening. The other side says, you did because you're in charge of the NFL franchise. It's a no-win situation in so many ways.
Well, one, kudos, everybody, and I've been down on them too, my former employer, the Washington Post, for some of the business decisions and some of the editorial decisions they've made on the news side. But Will Hobbs is one of the best investigative reporters, sports or otherwise, in the country. He and another reporter dug this out for the Washington Post. And you know how it is. HIPAA laws are such that it's almost impossible to get a living or dead private medical information about a certain individual. It doesn't matter if they're a public figure or not. And so for him to, for the amount of incredible detail in here, because this had to be a lawyer-proof story on many levels. The Dr. Haratunian is done as far as I'm concerned, or unless you really need some ketamine or OxyContin and you just need to find a doctor that's going to give it to you. He's the guy. This to me was interesting, and I wrestled with reading it, sort of going, do we really need to know all this? And then the more I read it, I go, yeah, actually, he was the owner of the franchise. He was in charge of major decisions, and to what they did was essentially the Colts and Irsay and his daughters, who now own the team, they performed a ruse over society. Not only that, they went as far as they had a foundation that basically helped people in addiction. This was all about this foundation was propped up by the fact that Jim Irsay had overcome, or he was in recovery.
Well,
now, I'm not going to give a hard time.
That's exactly where we're at here, Mike. I mean, they basically kept things as hidden as they could. But again, it comes down to the personal versus the professional side of things here. I'm not sure that they owed anybody anything to tell them what was going on.
But okay, forget about the fans for a minute, because who cares? Unless they were shareholders of the company, screw them. The people
the fans are the ones who basically pay the freight, and they expect to have a competitive team, and they didn't have one for a couple of years because Jim Irsay wasn't taking care of the franchise.
I don't know if it was about Jim Irsay's addiction, but I don't like the fact that look, Jim Irsay was going to die the way he wanted to die at some point, and it's like Prince or Elvis or anybody, Michael Jackson for that matter. He found a doctor that would inject him with, oh my God, was it what propofol? Have you ever had? I had a colonoscopy a few years ago, Ed. They gave me propofol. I don't think I was asleep for 10 minutes. It was the greatest sleep of my life. I mean, I don't even remember falling asleep. I don't even remember getting up.
Ladies
It was
and gentlemen,
so
Mike Wise
amazing.
has uncovered the only good thing about having a colonoscopy, and that's the small amount of propofol you get that puts you to sleep.
Well,
because
it's
if you've
enough
never
to,
had one before, kids, wait until you get it. You're like that, and you're gone.
I mean, it's like, those drugs are dangerous, Ambien,
Yes.
all of them, but this one, like especially ketamine, I mean, it's dangerous, and so you found a doctor to give you medication that no genuine medically,
No legitimate
medically and
doctor would
morally.
put somebody on opioids and ketamine. And we saw
Right,
the
right. And this
exact
guy
same
was
thing
going
with
to.
Matthew Perry. So I think that's a bigger story here, Mike. The bigger story
So,
is
but
not
I-
necessarily with the Colts, but it's the fact that we
Yes.
once again have an individual, a well-known individual, a wealthy individual, who has one of these unscrupulous doctors hanging around him, basically shoveling pills and meds and everything else they can
Right.
to basically make a ton of money on their side and to try and keep him alive. When at one point, this guy's addicting his patient. He's only making
Well,
it worse.
not only
It's a
he's
bigger issue.
feeding into his addiction. There was at one point where he had all these trips back and forth in the story to was it Palm Springs, wherever Dr. Harutunian was.
I think it was
so
Palm Springs,
Indianapolis to Palm Springs. At one point, his jet was on the tarmac for 33 minutes, Ed. 33 minutes he went to get to get those drugs and flew back to Indianapolis. So so I guess what I'm saying is, yeah, let's put this guy on trial. Let's put the doctor on trial. The enablers next to him. I can't remember Ward's first. He's the COO. He's the chief financial officer of the team. He's the guy making the calls to 911, lying to the medical emergency
The first
personnel.
responders. Yeah.
The first responder, the EFM, not the EFMs, the
EMTs.
But the EMTs, he's telling them it's a heart issue when he knows damn well he's put drugs into his body that they saved him once with what is it? What's the thing you stab into you?
Narcan.
Narcan. So they gave him some Narcan at some point. An officer said this was an overdose, and the Colts tried to hide it. And these are the people that I wouldn't want to be around. These are the people that are.
And there's that bigger issue here. Because, again, not trying to cast aspersions here, but did his family know? Did his daughters know? Were they allowing
I'm
this
sure
doctor
his
to come in and
daughters
basically
knew.
jack this guy up on opioids and ketamine? Look, I just went through a very difficult time when my father passed, and we went through all of this with all this medication that was there. And I'm going, no, wait, stop. And even the people that I was talking to said it was a good call because we could have kept him alive for years. Just jacking him up, putting all kinds of drugs in his system, basically making him a zombie. Was the family allowing this? Did they know this? Did they readily say, "Yeah, stick my dad up"? I don't
know if
something's wrong there. That's a bigger issue.
I don't know if every one of them knew it, but
somebody had to know.
I would steer. We got to steer people to this story on the site. I'm not saying you have to get a Washington Post subscription to read it, but it's worth it because it definitely goes into how much it's like a small thing and a huge thing in life. Like the reason I'm where I'm at, and maybe the reason why you're at, is because at some point you surrounded yourself with people in your life that told you what you needed to hear as opposed to what you wanted to hear. Jim Irsay, he probably didn't have a lot of friends. People that rich don't. And what happens is your friends become your friends are your employees. There's no equitable relationship. Right. You're still the boss of them, and they do what you want to if they want to maintain friendship. He got rid of a nurse that basically tried to hide his medication in Beverly Hills or somewhere where he died, and she was basically led out of the premises by hotel security guards because he wanted her fired. So she at least in her good conscience, she could not. I think what happened is there's probably going to be a huge huge suit against the doctor and some of the people in the Colts organization.
There should be.
by whoever spilled the beans to Will Hobbs in the Washington Post about this story.
And there
because
should be, because again, look, he overdosed, according to the story, and I have not read the story entirely, I've only caught pieces of it, but apparently in this timeline, he had overdosed 3 times. If an addict overdoses 3 times, he's getting the drugs from somewhere. Now he's a multi-billionaire. Right. He's able to get them from wherever he wants, and basically he's able to get them clandestinely as well. But this guy's still being fed the drugs that are killing him. And somebody in that family is not taking the bull by the horns here and to say, Jim, Dad, whatever, you got to stop this. You're killing yourself. Let's take you. Let's dry you out. Let's get you out of here. But again, that's easy for me to say because I'm not on the inside, where Jim Irsay could have had so much money and he could have just said, I can do what I want. Get the hell out of my face.
Well, and I'll share this with you before we go on the next subject. You know, I when the San Antonio Spurs won their second title, I think it was 2003, and they're on their way to winning their second title. I for some reason, Peter Holt, the owner, didn't talk to anyone. Peter Holt was a really interesting guy. He was the heir to the Caterpillar tractor fortune. He was, sort of silver spoon, Texas born and bred. He was also a hellion as a kid that tried to outrun all these cops in Corpus Christi when he was 17 or 18, and he said he was an alcoholic from that moment on. And he ended up in Vietnam, like the son of the heir of the tractor puller. The judge told him, look, jail or the army, and it was 1960s. He went into the army. This guy who everybody and their mom would have gotten a deferment for because of where he came from, went to Vietnam and fought against, was during the Tet Offensive, almost died, had to shield himself. But the bottom line is he confided in me in 2003 that he was an alcoholic and he'd fought this thing all his life. And he let me talk to family members. And it was a great story because my father was an alcoholic. And, and it was just like, maybe that was part of it. I shared that with him and he confided in me these stories. And some of the story, you couldn't make it up, Ed, where at one point he's having a relapse as owner of the Spurs, and his wife says, all right, you're going to rehab. You're taking the helicopter into Austin. You're going to go to this rehab clinic, and damn it. And Peter Holt, during this, there's this big ride to the treatment clinic, tells the helicopter pilots, God damn it, land right here. There's a liquor store right here. You don't land right here, I'm going to fire you. And so he got smashed, never made it to the addiction clinic until about a week later when they found him. So this was just, I'm using this anecdote because
the ability
because the wealthy people, you can do what you want if you have money.
Yes. I mean, these are the people who
But that's still no reason for a medically licensed doctor to fill him up with ketamine and OxyContin and other powerful opioids that probably helped end his life
the person who
much
gave Matthew Perry
more
ketamine,
prematurely.
They got arrested. The doctor who's involved in there, another one who got arrested here. I mean, it's the same thing. They got to go after this guy, and it's a bigger issue that talks to the drug addiction issue in America, where even an addict who basically has people supposedly who care about him, they lied to cover this up. They helped him cover this up, and then he died. And now it's coming to the fore here that they screwed up. And you feel bad for the family. You feel bad for everybody who's involved. They lost their dad. They lost their brother. But in the same breath, they needed to open their mouth a little bit more and try to save this guy. And they really didn't do it.
I think that's it.
I think that's it
right there. You hit the nail on the head. This wasn't a sports story. Great. The Colts fans deserve to know what was going on with the patriarch of the franchise. But it also, it comes right back to, it doesn't matter how poor you are, how rich you are, being in the throes of addiction, it's not prejudiced. It will take anybody. And it took Jim Irsay. And unfortunately, there were enablers around him that helped take him.
NFL Part 3, I got to get this in here because it's a minor thing, but it kind of sticks at me a little bit. Tom Brady has said that he would love it if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers allowed him to sign a one-day contract so he could retire and go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, or the Football Hall of Fame, if you will, as a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Patriots fans, and I covered this team for several years, they are up in arms and people feel like they've just been smacked in the mouth. And maybe they have been. Because, hey, Tom, guess what? Those New England Patriots fans are the ones who basically helped launch you. Belichick helped make you who you are. Kraft helped make you who you are. And now all of a sudden you're spitting on the franchise that gave you all those wonderful years and helped you become arguably the greatest of all time. Mike, there's something going on here. Because after all that he put into the New England Patriots franchise, to not want to wear that Patriots helmet when he goes into the Hall of Fame, that tells me something about what goes on between him and Belichick, him and Kraft, the whole retirement issue. There's still a lot of animosity that goes on there. But I'll tell you what, the Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans don't deserve to have Tom Brady representing them in the Hall of Fame. He was there, a couple of years? Yes, I know, he won a Super Bowl, give me all that. But his greatness came from the Patriots years. So he deserves to honor the Patriots, and the Patriots need to have him go in as a member of their franchise. But something else is going on here. Come on, Tommy. You got enough money. Go in as a Patriot, will you?
Brady is Brady never stops needling, man. And if I'm the Buccaneers, by the way, I'm receiving a call from Roger Goodell, and Roger Goodell is saying, I know what you guys are thinking. This is a great moment for you guys today. Don't do it. Don't give him that day. We're going to work this out with Kraft. It's just a bad look for us. It's a bad look for everybody. Anybody that goes to the Canton, Ohio to see a bust of Tom Brady or a picture of Tom Brady wants to see him in Patriots gear. That's how it is. But I think it sheds a light into like the pettiness, the small timiness.
That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, the pettiness of all this.
The great competitors of our generation, of our lifetimes. I mean, Michael Jordan would not set foot in the Verizon Center, now the Capital One Arena, until Abe Pollin, the venerable owner of the team for 50-something years, died. Because Abe Pollin had the temerity to fire Michael Jordan as right after he got done using him as a player, and he got a bunch of millions out of him at the box office. He knew that Jordan had alienated most of his teammates in Washington. In fact, I know for a fact because I wrote the story for the New York Times that Michael Jordan would be fired on a certain day 3 days before he was fired. Nobody believed it. Even my friend David Aldrich reported that it wasn't true because David Falk told him. David Falk was Michael Jordan's agent. I talked to someone inside the Wizards organization that was much more prominent. But the bottom line is, they tried to get Michael Jordan a re-retirement gift, and the players refused to chip in. They thought he was a jerk. And it's like, there's always an ends to a means when you're winning championships. You can punch Steve Kerr in the face like Jordan did in Bulls practice. You can be the biggest jerk and asshole you want. Tom Brady was all those things in New England.
Yes, he was.
But
that's another thing that
he was winning
and you do.
But he was winning Super Bowls.
Exactly. The guys who cover the Patriots, the guys and gals who cover the Patriots, and like I said, I was only there 4 years. But I was close enough to where I got to know a little bit about the Patriots organization. I still have some friends there. Brady was not the most loved individual in the world. I mean, it wasn't like everybody in the locker room bowed down to him and loved him. He was an arrogant ass so many times. There were a lot of players, and one player, I will never mention his name out loud, ever, who told me after I interview him, I did a big interview with this guy, a big feature interview, and we talked about Brady, and he said, I really don't give a shit what Tom does. I mean, it told me right away what the idea was. But Brady and Belichick, Belichick still, he's one of those guys that I know who
that person is.
No, you don't.
I know that person is. Teddy Bruschi.
I guarantee you don't. And even if
Mike
you did get
Vrabel.
it right, if you did get it right, I would never say it because I promised this person I would never reveal their name, and I never will. But Brady's animosity towards the Patriots and Belichick and Kraft, you got to cut the crap here, Tom. The Patriots made you who you are. If it was not for the Patriots, if it was not for them picking you, you would probably, you definitely would not be the greatest of all time. You wouldn't have wound up with
You
a
don't
coach
know
that basically
that.
brought out the best in you and an organization that did, because they built the franchise around you. You became a GOAT. You're an excellent talent. Retire as a Patriot. You owe that to the franchise.
Excellent.
And you owe that to the fans, damn it. I'm a fan guy. You owe that to the Patriots fans who basically helped pay your salary for all those years and gave you all that adulation. Retire as a Patriot. Cut the crap.
I'm gonna give you my favorite Tom Brady anecdote that I don't know if I've revealed this because I think Tom Curran covered the Patriots for Comcast forever.
Guy.
Great guy.
Good guy.
Great guy. He wore one of the few guys to wear fedoras still. I loved it. And he could have been an Irish longshoreman other than a sports writer, but and a guy that was on TV a lot. But he tells me, I think he. Well, Tom, if I hope I don't blow your cover on this, but anyway, he was picked to be the pool reporter on the last day of practice in 2011 at the Super Bowl in Indianapolis. And Tom Curran was. And so the pool reporter is the only reporter that's allowed to go inside and cover the practice and tell everybody what happened. And so, it's kind of a neat moment because, you're by themselves. The team's going over their last walkthrough. They don't want anybody seeing their strategy. And at the end of it all, he sees Tom upstairs, after the practice is over. He's talking to his family in the stands at the practice. And, Tom had known him for a while. And it's like this great moment. And he figures, I'm going to be a little personal here. And he goes up to Tom Brady and he goes, hey, look, a lot of people didn't think you were even going to get back to this place. I think it's awesome that you're here, that you're with your family. I just want to tell you that covering you for the last whatever years, it's been a privilege, and this is a great moment. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am and all the other people. And he looks at Curran with this death stare, and so he looks right through him and he goes, "We're gonna fucking kill him tomorrow." Like that. And if you're a Patriots fan, you love that.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Of course, Curran said I couldn't use it unless they won. And so, of course, they lost in one of the greatest. Eli Manning beat Tom Brady twice. That's enough to go into the Hall of Fame in my book. But
that's another story. We'll have to get onto that one day.
But he was a psycho. But Ed, on the Tampa Bay sideline his last season when they didn't win it, he was yelling, going, "I left my wife and kids for this." Like he was a jerk at the end. He was a jerk from the beginning.
That's the difference is, son of a gun
we
that
love
really
guys.
He leaves his wife and kids to win another Super Bowl because he can't get it out of his system. Come on, Tom. Grow up already.
We love guys that work. We love guys that win for our teams. We will overlook anything almost except murder. But when they're assholes and they're losing,
Lewis, but we'll get into that another time.
Well, when they're losing, who cares? Who cares? They're just rotten people. Kobe Bryant. I love Kobe. R.I.P. Kobe Bryant could be an asshole as a teammate.
Yes, he could. Yes, he could. There's stories there to tell as well. On to tennis and the U.S. Open. What happened this week is a little bit. Here's the thing. Tennis players are a very different breed. They're a very different type of. Hang on a sec. Before you keep throwing the R word out in here, big boy. Let's go ahead and set the stage because you've got Taylor Townsend and Yelena Ostapenko who are on court, and Townsend has beaten the crap out of Ostapenko. It's over, and there's apparently been some bad blood between them in the first place, and it boiled over.
With a flourish there, and didn't she just do so very well to handle a moment when 5-3 down in the opening sets of this one? No love lost between these two. One thing you know for sure, Taylor Townsend ain't for backing down.
Not at all. You can see that emotion coming out of Taylor there. The entire court on court 11. Taylor egging it on. You love to see that competitive fight. All she's been through.
Taylor, congratulations. Fiery match start to finish. We'll get to it all. Can you fill us in on the conversation you were having with Yelena out there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's competition. People get upset when they lose, and you can't. Some people say bad things. She told me I have no class, I have no education, and to see what happens when we get outside the U.S. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I beat her in Canada outside the U.S. I beat her in New York outside the U.S. So let's see what else she has to say.
I am sick and tired of every time something happens, when there's some kind of an argument, some kind of a disagreement, anything happens, that the first thing, and I swear it was the first thing I saw on social media after this happened, somebody said that it was racist, that the reason that Ostapenko called Townsend uneducated, or no, she said she was not educated, okay, and she said she was not educated and had no class. The only reason could have been is because she was a black female, and it was totally racist. Come on! Why does everything have to be a knee-jerk into racism here? Ostapenko is not considered to be anybody with a great concept of fairness in the first place. You talk to a lot of the players, and they'll tell you, she's a bit of a bitch at times. She goes off on these things. She has these moments. But to just say that it's based on racism, she just got her hat handed to her. Her clock was cleaned by Townsend. Townsend's a much better player. So she says, and basically, let's remember too, Mike, this comes down not necessarily to the match, but it comes down to something that happened earlier. There's a thinking process that when you hit a net cord in tennis, that the player who does it will say sorry. Apparently, according to Ostapenko, Townsend didn't do that. Townsend was also warming up from the baseline, not from the baseline, earlier on before the match. So there's this little petty bullshit that goes on here, but it becomes part of tennis. So she lost her cool. She said something. But to say that it's racist, why, Mike? Why do we have to knee-jerk to that every single time?
Well, you and I aren't black. We don't have ancestors in our past that were owned by other people, and so I think there's a natural predisposition for someone who hears no education it's a dog whistle, Ed. But here's the thing: where's Ostapenko from?
Latvia.
Okay, Latvia. So Latvia didn't have a slave trade at that point. She didn't grow up with the sensitivity of. Naomi Osaka put this in the best context imaginable. They asked her about it. She's she's a socially conscious, half Japanese, half black. She identifies black. She also respects her Japanese heritage. But she had a great point. She said, "Are you asking me if it's right?" She said, "Well, look," she said, "Ostapenko, I know her. She said a lot more crazy things."
Yeah, that was part of my point.
And she also, yeah, that's part of her point. And the other thing is, she said, and who knows if she's wise or knowledgeable about the history in this country about saying a black person is uneducated. Like a lot of people, she goes, "I can guarantee you after the backlash, she won't say it again because now she'll be informed of that history." But she was basically saying she probably didn't mean anything by it. But but I'm saying it's still something you got to be careful. Like, it's good that it's a learning experience for her. Like,
it apparently was the fact that Townsend had not done certain things that are normally done in tennis on the court. And it's these little ridiculous kind of traditions that go on here. I get it.
That's what she meant. That's what she meant.
She lost her cool. She went off. She said, "You didn't know what you were doing. You're not educated. You have no class." And immediately, but okay,
I'm not going
to thing to say, Mike. But I get it.
Right. But I'm not gonna. I'm not going to yell at anybody.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. Why do we automatically go to the racist card on this? Why?
I'm not. Look, because we don't have any context, Ed. We get fired up by small things. So we don't. Most people that saw a white woman telling a black woman they weren't educated. They didn't see a Latvian tennis player who had felt, who feel, the truth of the matter is, as you said, a Latvian tennis player, not wise to the history here of Black Americans in this country, all of a sudden sees some dumb things that she thought was not tennis etiquette that Townsend had done, and she called her uneducated. I'm sure that's the reason, but still, I don't begrudge anybody. I mean, if it becomes a huge thing, then I think it's ugly. But I don't think it's bad to say, well, there are better things you could have said to somebody if you're a white person in America.
There's no doubt about it.
But I mean, it's again, like
I'm going to come back to my point. Isn't this part of the problem in this country where a lot of times we knee-jerk to a lot of these things, and we knee-jerk to saying it's racist? We don't know what's in her heart. We don't know what she meant. We don't know if she has any clue. As you said properly, being from Latvia, she probably is not aware of the American condition, if you will, and this ridiculous, abhorrent, evil part of America that went on for so many years. So she wasn't even thinking about it. We don't know.
I know.
So, but we immediately
all know that.
But that's it. It was a racist thing to say. We don't know that,
right.
And I don't think it's fair to make that jump right away.
Yeah, I agree with you, but once again, the context and sort of like the new and the media our profession is to blame as anyone. When you're starting off a segment did she step over the line racially? No, she didn't. But once you give it context and you educate it about it, you understand. I remember, God darn it, the New Zealand guy that played for Oklahoma City, big guy, Stephen. Oh, shoot. You know who I'm talking about. He's got tattoos. He's half Maori. God darn it. Steven Adams. He's a huge power forward in the NBA.
To a guy who's not an NBA guy, so there you go.
Right. But he's a big New Zealand guy, 7 foot something. And he's been around for a while. And at some point, he either used the term darkies or something else. People went nuts about this. Well, in his country, that was a perfectly acceptable way to analogize a black person. Not in America. He had to find that out the hard way.
Terrible history that we still have to pay for.
Has any of Steven Adams' teammates come out and said, "Yeah, that dude's right"? No, they basically took him aside and said, "Yo, you can't be calling anybody
but I think
it's not a good look, dude."
In part, Mike, I think the sensitivity is based on what's happening now in America, because you have a president of the United States who is going after places such as the Smithsonian and other museums, basically telling people that slavery may not have been that bad, that we don't need to teach people all about slavery.
Totally
it was a bad
part
thing,
of it.
but let's not wallow in the evil that was here, which is absolute, freaking undeniable, mind-blowing. That anybody could say, anybody of any color, any age could say that and not understand the evil that there was here in this country, and the fact that we still have to know it, we have to accept it, we have to learn from it, we have to get better from it. So I think that there is a part of what's happening in America now will draw people to hit that knee-jerk racism when they hear it because of what's happening in America. But I guess all I'm saying is it doesn't make it right, and I don't think we can make that knee-jerk in every instance.
I agree with you, but I also think that, I don't know where you were when Barack Obama was elected. I held like a O party, like where, everybody had to bring O-shaped food. It was ridiculous the night of the inauguration, and people brought, donuts. People brought bagels. People brought onion rings. It was fun. But either way, there were people crying, including me in front of the television, thinking, God dang, man, look at all these. Look, there's a black family in the White House. What does that say about us as a country? It says progress. It says post-racial America. Do you know how long post-racial America lasted, that term? Probably about 3 months before the racism started again, and it got ugly, and it led up to the election of Donald Trump, and all these things like what do you think the Cracker Barrel thing's about? It's about white people not wanting to feel guilty about their heritage. So keep the cracker on with the barrel on the logo. That's what this whole MAGA thing's about. We don't want to feel guilty as white people. I don't feel guilty. I just want to, it's not critical race theory to me. It's shit that actually happened. So we should tell our kids so they do better. Okay, period. Don't hide history. I don't know how we got
let's
on
do
that
this. I mean,
from two. I don't know how we got on from all that after two tennis players argued at a net.
well, but let's go on and make this. Let's make a positive out of this. All right. If there
All
are
right.
people who are going to talk about this instance as a racial incident, let's use it then to move forward. Let's take it and go, okay, we don't know if she understood, but now she does. Instead of hammering away and saying that she spit out a racist insult, let's take Elena aside and go, Elena, guess what? When you say something like that, do you know the history of America? Do you know what's gone on here? Do you know what's happening now? You might want to think twice about doing this again, because people will take this as being a racial incident, and you will have to pay for this for the rest of your life. Learn the other side of things. So,
Actually, you know what, Ed? That was a soundbite right there. That was perfect.
Well,
if we can educate, if we can come out with something like that on this show every week, we will get sponsors. Damn it!
Let's use it as a positive. Let's not go immediately that she hates black people. No, okay. She's a little ignorant, maybe a lot ignorant about what has gone on in America because she's not an American citizen. So let's stop. Hold on, Townsend. And again, I got to tell you something. The other thing that caught me in that was you saw Townsend going after there where she's egging on the crowd and she's going to go ahead and get all upset about this. And the announcer in there going, what a competitive fight that she has in her. Come on. Townsend was possibly just as wrong there as well because she's exacerbating the situation. Walk away from it. Let it go. You won the match. You crushed her. Okay? But let's not turn this into the Romans in the Colosseum waiting for the lions to eat somebody. Let's turn this into a learning perspective to make it right.
It was like the Arsenio Hall Open.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody going.
Which is good when you're on stage, but not necessarily in every phase of life.
Yeah.
The New York Mets, and you brought this up a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to make sure we talked about this, because this has kind of gotten under my skin a little bit. If you go to a New York Mets game, you will find an individual there who brings his dog. And he brings his dog there and dresses the dog up and allows people, the dog's name is Sushi. And for the life of me, I don't even know the guy's name, and I really don't care because I find him to be reprehensible. He takes this dog, puts him in the sun, doesn't feed him, doesn't give him any water, and basically dresses him up. And if you want to, you can get your picture taken with the dog. But when you do that, you have to give the guy money. And there are people who are involved from humane societies and others as well who are going that this is simply wrong.
Dogs don't do shit. They just sit on our beds. They sleep. It's about time one got out there and worked for his keep. You know, I don't understand why you're making a big deal of this. Damn it. This dog has been sailing through life, and all of a sudden he's got one little job to take a picture with a Mets fan. Oh my God, you got to be Mr. Met for a day.
I knew you were going to do this.
Come on.
I knew you were going to do this.
No, but here's the deal. Are we sure that he doesn't get water or food during that time? I mean, I can't imagine he doesn't get any water or food during his little soirees at Citi Field or whatever.
But it still can be. And here's the fact. There's what we're putting up here is Christina Shesterich, a dog behavior specialist who looked at the videos. Yeah. The fact that the dog hasn't died is kind of amazing. And personally, I think
How old is the dog? How old is the dog?
It's an older dog. You can tell by looking at him. Look at his snout.
Oh, okay. So here's the deal. If that dog died today, he died doing what he wanted.
No, it's not what the dog wanted. How do you know what the dog wants to do?
That dog's a Mets fan. That dog's a Mets fan.
How do you know? That could be a Yankees fan, and the guy is making him put on a Mets cap, and the dog is hating every single minute of it. That dog could actually reach out and bite the guy because he's going, I'm not a Mets fan, I'm a Yankees fan. We don't know that. You can't just dress up a dog and use it to make money, man. Come on. That's sick.
I'm a dog whisperer. I know he's a Mets fan. It reminds me of remember the Peter Sellers Pink Panther one where he goes up to the guy and he goes, "Does your dog bite?" And the guy's like, "No, it doesn't bite." I thought you said your dog does not bite. That is not my dog. Oh, we're so old.
No, we're not. I would rather see the Mets do something about it and not let the guys sit there and use money and make money off the dog when people want to take a picture of it. Let people take a picture, but the guys using the dog is nothing more than a profit center. Come on. Be better than that.
I make Nacho work in Panama.
Well, but the problem is, see, you're not you're an evil guy to begin with, and we know this. You're an evil guy who basically plots a lot of these things, and you want to use your dog to make a buck. And the poor dog, you force the dog to go to Panama. The dog doesn't speak English, so the dog right away doesn't speak Spanish. So the dog right now is working from a downside. He has nobody to interpret for him. So you basically force this dog to live in a country that he has no idea of where he is. And maybe Nacho is a Mets fan, and you're not even giving Nacho a chance to watch the Mets on television. Do you know that Nacho could be a hockey fan? When was the last time you sat down with Nacho and watched a hockey game?
I haven't, but I rewatched 2018 Eastern Conference semifinals, Caps and Penguins. Caps won in overtime, went to the conference finals, ended up winning the Stanley Cup for the first time in their franchise. God, it was exciting, Ed. It was like I was back in 2018.
Speaking of watching things, before we go, I have to tell you, I have finally broken down, and I am starting to watch Breaking Bad.
Oh!
I never watched it when it was out because, I don't know, I was busy doing whatever. But I've had people I've put out on social media, on my Facebook page, I said, okay, I have an option. I could either watch Breaking Bad or Sons of Anarchy.
And I told you to watch The Wire.
You went, okay, but The Wire wasn't a choice. My choices were I was going to binge either Breaking Bad or Sons of Anarchy. And it was overwhelming that I have to get into Breaking Bad. So all I've watched is the first episode.
And you're hooked.
Still kind of getting into it a little bit. I can see where it's going, but I'll let you know how it goes when I move along. If it's something that
I got hooked on it. I got hooked on it, but it fell into the categories of all the shows that I've watched nowadays, and the protagonists are all awful people. I can't watch
Mr. White's an awful person. He's a teacher.
Oh wait, you'll see.
I know. I kind of have enough to know where I'm going here. Don't forget where you're going is to go to the YouTube channel at The Fastest Show in Sports is where you can see this show, where you can see all the episodes as well and all the bonuses. Also go to wherever you get your podcasts and listen to it. You'll get the audio there of all the shows and all the different segments as well. For Mike Wise, I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Fastest Show in Sports. Back next week. Nacho makes the scene. Nacho, tell Daddy you want hockey. Tell Daddy you want to watch hockey, Nacho.
No, he doesn't want to watch hockey. He's going to work, though, today, and he's not getting any food or water.
He's Nacho. He's not Mike Wise. I'm Ed Berliner. Until next time, rock on, true believers. Say it!
That's all, folks.